by the way, have we talked about how you can practically get Russell Westbrook for free at this point?
So let's go to another Eastern Conference team that leveled up. We heard Spencer Dinwiddie was going to the Wizards even before I think Jake Fisher had it, and as well as some other. I think Fred Katz was mentioning it as well as early as Monday. But the details, figuring out how to make it work in terms of the sign and trade, took a couple days. Ultimately, they lumped it into the Russell Westbrook deal, so it's going to be a 5-team mega sign and trade. So Spencer Dinwiddie to the Wizards on a 3-year, $62 million deal. They also re-signed Harrell Neto to be third string point guard. I don't know. They got Aaron Holiday in that mega trade as well. So now we're looking at a Wizards depth chart with Spencer Dinwiddie, Aaron Holiday, Harrell Neto, Bradley Beal, KCP in the backcourt, and then you have just a bunch of dudes in the front court. You have Denny, you have Rui, you have Gafford, you have Thomas Bryant, who's coming back from the ACL, Achilles?
No, ACL.
ACL, okay. You have Kuzma, you have Montrezl Harrell, you have Davis Bertans, you just added Corey Kispert. So the Wizards have had a phenomenal offseason, I would say. Like, they just make so much more sense on paper. What do you think of the Dinwiddie acquisition? And where do you see Washington now fitting into this suddenly bolstered Eastern Conference?
So I do think they need to streamline their roster just a smidge. That's a lot of bigs first and foremost. I'm also not sold on Montrezl Harrell. I think he's a regular season player, which does serve its purpose if you can get them to the playoffs and you can do all those things. Like, fine, that's step one. But still, I would look for more wings and more guard depth. But Spencer Dinwiddie, again, pending health, because he's also just coming off how many games did he play? Like 3, I want to say. Yeah,
it was. I think 4, maybe
4.
3. Like very few.
Yeah, something along those lines. So it's basically a missed season. So I think the value was actually pretty good. It was just over $20 million a year, and it's on a somewhat short-term deal, like the 3-year. I don't know if there's is there an option on that, or?
I don't remember hearing about it if there is.
Right. But even if there isn't, like a 3-year deal, it's fine. Like, if he's not the same player he used to be, it's a good enough gamble to take it. And if he is the player of old, and he comes in and is like 20 plus points, 6 plus assists, attacks the basket relentlessly, then this contract is mind-blowingly good, because then it should have been 85, 90 instead. So yeah, I'm in it. I think this is a strong backcourt now. I think he fits with Bradley Beal way more than Russell Westbrook, which I don't think should surprise anyone. There's just so much more balance now in that type of backcourt. It's also a large backcourt because Spencer Dinwiddie is 6'6". So I think there's a lot of size there, a lot of unselfishness too. Like, you won't see Spencer Dinwiddie race down the floor and jack up weird shots on the break. Like, he's a more controlled player, I want to say, than Russell Westbrook. So I think he's going to allow himself like the time and the patience, and also realizing, oh, you know what, I have a trailer in Davis Bertans. Oh, I have a trailer in Bradley Beal. I have a trailer in Thomas Bryan, who can also stroke the 3. So he's going to be more recognizing of those patterns and utilize them. So I love it. Now, where they stand in the East, again, can I just toss a coin at this point? I have no idea. This Eastern Conference is going to be one of the best subplots of the entire season. I absolutely love it. But overall, I would feel more confident about the Wizards if they just streamlined the roster just a bit more. Because I don't think Denny is a 3. I think he's a 4. I think Rui is a 4, or whatever you call it. Like, I just don't think they are guys who should be moving all around the court and like guarding the Jaylen Browns and Jason Tatums of the league. I think they're better at guarding like the Tobias Harrises and stuff like that. So I would like to see them prioritize wings for the rest of the summer, maybe pull up some trades. But like the foundation is there, Bryan. Like, it's a pretty good foundation, and I think if they do what I just kind of asked them to do, we could definitely be looking at a team that might not even need to go into the play-in tournament to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, the Wizards are another team where I'm going to keep saying there are too many teams for not enough playoff spots in the East. Like, some team is going to be severely disappointed based on their expectations going into the year. Because I think, like, Cleveland, Orlando, and Detroit won't expect to make it. Toronto, I don't think will, but they could. Like, they're not as bad as they looked last season. But
no, and they won't be playing in Tampa.
Right. So, well, hopefully. God.
All right. That hasn't been settled, right?
I think they are. I mean, who knows with this new Delta variant? But I think they were progressing toward going back to Toronto.
Yeah.
Before the world went to hell again.
Right.
But yeah, like, fingers crossed they will not play in Tampa again. They'll, like, be at home. But, you know, just given how much these other teams in that tier have upgraded, I'm penciling them in tentatively as either an 11 or a 12 seed. But that means, like, Indiana, I know, struggled last year, but injuries were largely to blame for that. Mm-hmm. They're going to be very good. Like, this Wizards roster, I just cannot believe how much they've upgraded compared to last year in one off season. Like, that Russell Westbrook trade was an absolute godsend for them. Really trading John Wall for Westbrook. They would not have gotten this type of value for John Wall. And flipping Russell Westbrook into 3 rotation players and a first round pick that they used to get another rotation player in Aaron Holiday, just unreal value for them. And now, I mean, if I look at this roster, like, Jerome Robinson, Ish Smith, you know, Garrison Matthews played how many? He played the 8th most minutes of any Wizard last year. And I love Garrison Matthews, but, like, now we're talking, like, it's going to be, you know, Westbrook, Dinwiddie, KCP, Rui. Gafford will probably be the starting center until Bryan's healthy. Bryan's going to come off the bench. You have Montrezl, you have Kuzma, you have Aaron Holiday. Like, they just have so much more talent. And I think, you know, the Lord knows the vultures have been circling over Washington and Bradley Beal. And is he going to ask out? Going back pre-draft, you know, our guy Jake first reported that Beal was weighing his future there. Shams confirmed it. Fred Katz confirmed it. It sounds like what happened was that Russ, you know, he and Russ were both talking about their futures, and then Russ kind of gave him a heads up, like, hey, you know, if I told the Wizards if we can find a trade that makes sense with me and the Lakers, let's get it done. And they did. And now Beal seems happier. So I'm not going to go out and say Bradley Beal's definitely going to sign an extension in the next couple months, but I think the odds of Bradley Beal leaving Washington have also decreased significantly, much like Levine in Chicago. You know, I think Beal's got to be looking at this roster and thinking, like, damn, man, you know, again, we're not championship contenders, but we are a legit threat to make the playoffs at least, and not just, like, squeak in like we did last year. Like, we could maybe make some noise. Maybe we can even win a first round series. Who knows? Right. So yeah, where do they rank? You know, I think I would put them below Chicago and the Knicks still. Probably Boston too. Boston, the playmaking is just, but their defense is good. I have no idea. They're going to be, all of these teams are going to be super fun to watch. That's the important thing. Like the as you said, the battle for the Eastern Conference, like the Brooklyn-Milwaukee battle at the top is going to be super fascinating because that could have major implications for home court advantage, and that could help determine which of these teams goes on to win the championship. But then, like, having this play-in tournament and, like, the battle for that 6th seed, for that guaranteed playoff spot, it's going to be really important because all the teams in that 7 to 10 bracket are going to be good, and you don't want to be in a single elimination tournament with any of them.
Very much agreed. By the way, have we talked about how you can practically get Russell Westbrook for free at this point? Because listen, last year when they traded for Westbrook, they gave up a first-round draft pick, which they then, if memory serves, they got back in the Lakers trade, right?
Well, they got it back and then sent it to Indiana.
Right. But
yes.
Theoretically, they got it back.
Yeah, they got back a pick. Yeah, they traded one out, got one in. Yeah.
So that means that Russell Westbrook at this point is just a wash when it comes to trade value.
Well, I mean, effectively, they traded him for John Wall, straight up.
Right. Who at that point in time just came off of, 2 missed seasons almost.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I mean, I just want to lay it out there because, again, I'm seeing a lot of Lakers enthusiasm, which good for you guys, but like Russ isn't that guy anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just not. And it's amazing to me how we keep, like, whenever he leaves the team, we go, oh, look at how great this team is going to be because they traded Russell Westbrook. And then at some point during the season, Westbrook is going to go off and you're going to be like, Mort, listen, Russell Westbrook is really good. And then a couple months later, wow, they're so much better now after having traded Russell Westbrook. Maybe there's a pattern here like that's just emerging, Mr. Toporek.
I mean, for them to trade him for 4 rotation players, given how shallow they were last year, I think that's the big, especially knowing they were able to get Dinwiddie in free agency. So you effectively replace Westbrook with Dinwiddie and add that much rotation depth. Yes, I have no qualms saying that trade is much better for the Wizards. Like, do I think the Lakers next year are gonna, have that where they're gonna do this retirement home experiment and then turn around next summer and try to dump Russell Westbrook for like whatever the biggest contract is on the, like, maybe they try to flip him back for John Wall. We could just go full circle of trades here. I don't think so, but yeah, I mean
I'm not ruling it out. I am not ruling out a Russell Westbrook trade next summer. This has become like a tradition at this point.
Yeah, it is a rite of passage. That's